feed, but it wouldn't let me change the the direction of the phone. I couldn't go landscape. So now we're live. Today I'm going to go over how to make fresh pasta sauce or sugo di pomodoro with fresh tomatoes from your garden. Now I'm using San Marzano that I've grown in my garden, but you could use any tomato. And a lot of people are asking me, how do you make this from fresh tomatoes? I want to make it fresh at home and I want to know how to do it and what are the things that I need to do to think through this. So today I'm just going to cover how to prep the tomatoes, what to do with them, and then we'll go into some tips about the importance of a couple things you have to do to make sure that you do not make the sauce bitter and you don't have any issues with health concerns from tomatoes, which stay tuned, we'll talk about that. So I'm using San Marzano tomatoes. These are a little tough to grow, but they're preferred because these are sweeter, less acidic. They have a really good flavor profile. Now you can buy them in the store, obviously, and you can already have what they call sugo di pomodoro ready to make pasta sauce, salsa di pomodoro. But when you make it with your own stuff and they come from your garden, they just smell and taste way much better. A lot of stuff that you get in stores may lack flavor, like Roma tomatoes and things like that, but the canned stuff is pretty good too. So the first thing that you need to do is to prep the tomatoes. You want to get a pot like this, and I've already kind of prepared one on the side here that I'll show you guys shortly. But you want to get a pot. You want to clean these. I've already cleaned these. I pre-cleaned these, but you could put them in a bowl and clean them. And then what you're going to do to prep them, I'll just kind of show you a couple of these, is you want to get a really sharp paring knife like this. And you want to cut your, now depending on the shape, you want to cut your tomato right in half like this, okay? This makes it easier for it to cook in the pot and cook down. But also you want to remove, and this is one of the secret tips, you want to remove that green part, because that green part is going to cause some bitterness in the sauce. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of that. And all I do, I'll kind of show you here, is I notch out just the top of that to get rid of that green section there in the tomato. Okay, there's a little bit extra there, so I'm gonna pop that out of there. Okay, great. Okay, now what you're gonna do is once you have that, that's good. You could throw that right into your pot. Okay, no water, no oil, just a fresh tomato. Okay, so I'll do this one too, just so you can see. So I have the head here, which is that green part. Okay, another thing to mention is that if you have bad spots, cut the bad spots out, because the bad spots are also going to create bad flavor and you don't want that. So like I have a little green part here, I'm gonna cut off that green part that I don't like. And then I'm gonna cut this right in half like that. And look, you got a nice big, that's a huge green stem inside. So I really don't want that in my sauce. I'm gonna take that out, okay? And if you ever watch like the nonnas on videos, you'll see they're cutting these out while they're sitting down making sauce. But there, you can see I took out that green part. And I'll take out this one, okay? Same thing, okay? Very simple, easy. A lot of people get intimidated by making fresh sauce. It's actually not that hard, and I can tell you it's way better for you, okay? So, like I said, the stems can make things bitter. So we want to get rid of the green, okay? Stems is the first part. Now, what you want to do is you want to turn your heat. I usually put it like medium low, a little bit below medium to get it cooking. And what this is going to do, because you don't want to like high heat these, I'll maybe even just kind of go right in the middle of low and medium. We're just going to start to cook the tomato. And what will happen is it'll start to break down from the heat. Now, some people may add water. This is kind of a fast way to do it. I don't recommend doing that, because when you add water, you'll notice, if you've ever done this, that the tomato will balloon up. Like it'll turn up into a bubble, it'll kind of collect water, and then it's just full of liquid. This is a fast way that people kind of blanch them so that you can make quick sauce. I don't prefer that. So I put them right in the dry pan, in the heat, and I'm gonna let it kind of mix around. I'll stir it. I got my mother's spoon here. Check out that thing, that weapon. I love this thing. Okay, So, and then you'll just mix them up, right? And this is gonna take, I don't know, 15 minutes, maybe 20, depending on how much you have, a little longer if you've got a full giant pot, you know, to the top here. But these will start to break down, okay? Now, I'll show you what they look like after I've kind of cooked them down for a while and got them soft enough to make sauce. You could probably see that in there. Now look at that. See, the skins are kind of coming off. There's juice in there. They kind of look squishy. That's what you want. If you don't cook them long enough, what's going to happen is they'll be too firm and you can't process them. So you want to cook them down without overly cooking them. And you'll know, like I said, because you'll see kind of this mushy look, almost like what it looks like pretty much in a can. You know, kind of this soft flesh with the skins kind of coming off and they're soft, okay? Now, here's the second tip why this is really important, why you see people use what you call a pasatuto, okay? So the pasatuto is a hand mill that looks like this. Now, I got this online. If you're interested, I can share with you where I got it. This is really good. You can make other stuff with it. But the pasatuto has a mesh metal strainer that allows you, when you turn it, which I'll show, to remove the seeds and skins. So why is this important? You'll notice in Sicily and Italy that they remove the skins and seeds. So yes, they also make the sauce bitter. You don't want those in your sauce. But seeds and skins also contain lectins and fibrous materials that are hard to digest. I can't even speak today. To digest. So the lectins can be inflammatory for the body and can cause bloating and pain disturbances and gut issues, as well as the seeds, right? Because they're very fibrous, they're hard to digest, and we don't really digest them very well. So you don't want them in there. You can get bloating and stuff like that. So you want to remove the seeds. And this is the secret, because once you do that, you've just got the pulp of the tomato, especially something like a San Marzano or a good sweet tomato, and that sauce is going to taste more authentic than anything you've ever had in your life. I promise you. It beats every jarred sauce you'll ever buy. So what we're going to do now that we kind of went through cooking these down, right? We've cooked them down now over 15, 20 minutes, let's say, and now we've got all this good pulp that we want to break down. So what I do is I take the pasatuto. Now look, you can, if you've got a KitchenAid mixer with the attachment, great. If you've got the ones from Italy, which I wish I had, my grandfather had one, but if you've got the machine, much faster. But to me, there's something kind of cool about milling your own tomatoes through the pasatuto and getting your hands kind of dirty and getting in the experience. So what I'll do is, you'll take the pasatuto, you're going to use the thinner strainer. I think I showed this before, but I want to make sure. It's the smaller attachment because you don't want the seeds to go through that and end up in your sauce. Okay? And all you're going to do is take a scoop of the tomatoes and put them right here into the pasatuto. Once you do that, you're just going to crank it. You know, you can hold it like this so it doesn't move, and you're just going to crank it. And what you'll notice is it's going to press all the good flesh through the pasatuto and leave the skins and seeds. And you could already see this. Like if I lift this up so you can see it, look, it's already smashed a lot of the tomato in down in the bottom, but all the skins and seeds are on top. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing that. Sometimes I reverse it to kind of collect back up those fleshy pieces and then redo it. Other times you may get a little clogging, but that's okay. Just back and forth to really get a lot of it. If you don't have a pasatuto, there's other ways to do this, right? You can squeeze them out through a mesh cloth to really get all that stuff out and get the seeds out. There's other types of colanders like that attachment where you can press the pulp through, and you're doing it by hand, but you're able to get the seeds and skins off. And oh, by the way, when you use your hands, the bacteria in your hands actually makes the food better for gut health. Just a little secret. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of go back and forth like this. Okay, and we will repeat that process with all of our tomatoes. Now, sometimes, and I like to do this, I'll process all the tomatoes, put them back in the pot, and then run them through again. Because there's a lot of pieces that may not get through in the first pass. And if you've ever seen some of the videos of traditional Italians or Sicilians making the sauce, you'll notice they'll run it through the machine. And then after they get all that pulp in a bucket, they'll run that pulp through the machine again, because there is extra stuff in there, really good stuff you want to get rid of. Now, there is some debate about eating nightshades like tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, and things like that. But a lot of it has to do with what I said before, which is the seeds and the skins and the stems. These are the things that become more of the gut irritants that end up having people have complications with, and those lectins. Because tomatoes actually have a very healthy vitamin, or what they call like a phytonutrient, called lycopene. And lycopene, that comes from that red skin, is actually really good for fighting cancer. It's anti-cancer properties in it. So you're getting that lycopene in your tomato, which is really good for your health. And this is what I'm all about, right? It's like I started sharing a lot of this because I realized that there are so many secrets in the Italian food that make it very healthy. The Mediterranean diet, which is the most studied diet in the world, has a lot of these foods in it. And, there's little nuances to, like stems and seeds and things like that. But how crazy is it that Sicilians and Italians knew this stuff for hundreds of years, right? I mean, tomatoes are more of a newer food in the cuisine of Italian food, but they knew this stuff, so it's really cool, and stuff like this is really healthy for you. Okay. Now, this is the first process to get, and I'll just kind of show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, you got this amazing fresh pasta sauce, if you can see that. And it's got a sweetness to it. It's like, you don't even need sweetener. People put sugar in this. Don't put sugar in your sauce. This stuff is good enough, man. Okay, now that you have it like that, that's the way to process the tomatoes, okay? And if you're interested, I'm happy to put together a full guide of step-by-step. You can obviously watch back this video, but step-by-step of how to do this, as well as how to make authentic pasta sauce from this, because this is basically what I shared before. This is sugo di pomodoro, which is just the tomatoes. It has no seasoning, nothing. Salsa di pomodoro is when you make the actual pasta sauce, your seasonings, your garlic, this and that. So if you're interested, drop a comment below or DM me, hit me up, and I'll share with you a free guide of how to do this, as well as my recipe to make homemade pasta sauce. And drop any comments if you have questions about this. Super easy to make your own sauce, not hard. Don't feel intimidated. And like I said, homegrown or fresh is the way to go. I'm still tasting that. It tastes so good. Okay, that's it. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you in the next video. And a presto. Ciao.